Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michael O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for November 11th, 2020, recorded on 1:43 p.m. Eastern Time. While taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this afternoon, it is a very busy day in the tropics with three systems that we are currently watching. And yes, it is November 11th. We have, first of all, Tropical Storm Eta, which is just now weakened as of the 1 o'clock advisory, back down to a tropical storm. It briefly became a hurricane this morning and now is back down to a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm as southwesterly vertical wind shear and dry air really start to take a toll on the system. We'll look more in detail about that in a moment. We have Tropical Storm Theta, which is now beginning to weaken a little bit out here across the subtropical Atlantic, moving very quickly towards the north and east, no threat to land. And then also we are watching Invest Area 98L, which also poses a fairly significant concern down the road for portions of Central America, as this will once again track in the similar direction of Eta over the next several days. Taking a closer in look at storm Eta, again, you can see maximum sustained winds right now nearing about 70 miles per hour. So this is a little bit of a stronger storm. You do notice that today we have seen the exposed low level sensor theme kind of continue. However, in the latest couple of frames, we've started to see this become clouded over once again, indicating there is now pockets of deeper convection developing underneath this low level circulation. And that's very important because this is going to help to uh, really maintain the storm's intensity as we go forth with time. Recon has been in there today and has found pressure is now at about 990 millibars. Again, this is generally moving off towards the north and will be kind of curving in towards the north and east over the next couple of hours, making landfall sometime early tomorrow morning in the northern Florida peninsula. Now you can see a large array of showers and thunderstorms displaced to the north and east of the low level circulation here. And again, this is going to be the main theme, providing a fairly significant heavy rainfall event and a tornado risk for portions of central Florida, really from Tampa to Orlando. You're looking at the highest tornado potential. And then also flash flooding concerns extend well south of here. We even had a confirmed report of a tornado just south of Lake Okeechobee about 30 minutes ago. So the threat really exists for these rain bands to continue to kind of spiral in from time to time. And these will provide a fairly significant focus for some of this heavier rainfall and flooding potential to occur down the road. And of course, as the storm moves towards the north and east, you're going to get more of that rainfall focused on that northeastern side, really, from time to time. So if we look here at the official forecast from the Hurricane Center, again, back down to a tropical storm, sustained winds of 70 miles per hour moving north-northeast at 10. Again, the low-level circulation is expected to be making landfall sometime early tomorrow morning, around 7 in the morning, nearing the northern Florida peninsula. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for most of the area, including well inland, and will likely be extended further inland later today. And then we also have, again, tropical storm watches towards the north. Storm surge warnings have been in place for Tampa. Storm surge up to 3 to 5 feet is expected. And also the potential for very flooding rainfall over the next couple of days. We can see if we look at the storm surge forecast here, again, basically from Cedar Key really to to about Tampa, you're expecting 2 to 4 feet. And then Tampa Bay itself is expecting about 3 to 5 feet of storm surge, and we've seen that storm surge pile up today. 2 to 4 feet south of there, towards basically the beaches over there south of Sarasota, and then all the way down even towards southwest Florida, about 1 to 2 feet of storm surge, and this is above normally dry ground, so that's very important. And again, one thing to also kind of keep in mind here, we look at the actual interactive map and we put on the chances for tropical storm force winds. And again, you can see that the greatest chance here for tropical storm force winds is going to extend well towards the east. Again, you can see the wind field here associated with a sustained wind of 39 miles per hour or greater extends even well outside of where this cone is and where the center is. The center of circulation is right here And you can see sustained tropical storm force winds now extending inland to include portions of St. Pete, Clearwater, and now approaching Tampa. And as this continues to drift towards the northeast here, this will greatly expand over, and you'll see tropical storm force winds probably all the way out into right around the Orlando metro region. And I'm a little surprised that the Orlando metro is not included within a tropical storm warning, but I suspect that will change later this afternoon or tonight. But you can see the track then clearly takes it north here, then up towards Jacksonville. And again, this could change a little bit towards the right or towards the left. There is still a margin in there. The cone is here for a reason. There's a fairly significant margin in which this can go. And again, that's going to mean all the difference for places like the Orlando Metro or places like Lakeland. But either way, we've already started to see impacts. And if you take a look here at the radar coming out of Tampa, we can see a couple of things have been happening. First of all, the center of circulation is actually located somewhere back in here, and you can see the convection wrapping around on the eastern semicircle. And the fact that it's not wrapping all the way around tells us that there's not only dry air in the vicinity, but there's also vertical wind shear blowing out of the southwest. So it's pushing all the thunderstorm activity generally off towards the east. And this is where we've kind of seen the storm. It's an east-weighted storm today, and we've very clearly seen that we have even severe thunderstorm warnings all the way down here coming off of the very far southwest Florida Peninsula and the Florida Keys. And then a slight risk for severe storms extends all the way up to near the Orlando metro here and all the way down towards Tampa. This will be the greatest potential for your tornado threat later in the day today. We've seen enough destabilization occurring, and if we jump back here, we've seen enough destabilization occurring over portions of the Florida Peninsula today that a tornado risk is certainly existent, and it's non-zero. And as the storm starts to make that turn, you're going to start to see the low-level, the storm relative, velocities and the storm relative wind shear begin to increase across this part of the area. So that's something that we're going to have to really watch down the road from there. Now, moving on, that was Eta. This is now Tropical Storm Theta. We have a tropical storm here, sustained winds roughly right around near 60 miles per hour at this point in time. And again, Eta is drifting towards the north and east, not really expected to impact any portion of land. Again, this is not expected to be a very significant land threat and will be moving harmlessly away and may turn northward as a subtropical system later in the week. Now, we are also watching another system here, Invest Area 98L. This is a new disturbance that was designated 98L as of yesterday. And we've seen over the course of today a more concentrated massive showers and thunderstorms, generally towards the north and east. We have a surface convergent area that is generating in this area. This is a broad area of mid-level vorticity in the atmosphere, nothing at the surface, but you can see that we've definitely had a surface convergence, and we probably have a sharp trough axis generated in this area oriented like that. And again, you can see on one side of this flow, you're going to have generally flow coming out of the south here, and kind of on the northern end of that, you're going to have some convergence and slowing down on the northern end of that, and kind of almost drifting towards the south. So you end up kind of with a trough, a sharp wave axis that's kind of in here. And this has created a pocket of fairly deep thunderstorm activity south of Puerto Rico and towards the south and east of Hispaniola in the Dominican Republic. Now, over the next couple of days, the environment looks fairly favorable for development, and as such, the Hurricane Center right now is giving 98L an 80% chance to development over the next 5 days, and generally tracking in much of the same area that Eta actually formed or kind of went in. If you remember, Eta kind of formed here and actually came something down like here and then popped kind of back up like that and did a loop-de-loop thing. But that's kind of what Eta did, and we are seeing signs that we are now going to potentially be seeing a similar situation down the road. If you take a look here at the GFS forecast, this is the 500 millibar flow. And again, much of the forecasting now regarding Eta is over. This is expected to weaken upon landfall. So at this point in time, that the forecasting is over the nowcasting is starting to take into play here. But again, watching what's going to be happening here in the Caribbean over the next couple of days is going to be very important. Again, we have right now a ridge right here sitting generally towards the northeast of Eta. And again, this is promoting on the southern side of this is generally promoting a southwesterly component to it. And much similar to Eta, we have a trough digging in here, and we also have a area of high pressure once again here, creating a southerly steering component across portions of Central America. So you can see this mid-level energy here. This is the 500 millibar flow, or 18,400 feet in the atmosphere. And over the next couple of days, you can see what generally ends up happening. We get this upper level low to form generally towards the north and east of the Lesser Antilles. And what this is going to do not only is going to help ventilate the storm really from any intrusions of vertical wind shear on the eastern side here, but with this ridge of high pressure now being established over Florida, again, this is generally the main contorted flow. This ridge of high pressure is going to start to move from Mexico and slide over into Florida and greatly expand. You can see kind of that large expanse here, promoting generally kind of a west-southwest component here on this side. And this is by Saturday. You can see the storm now trying to get organized down here in the Caribbean. We continue to move this forward. Again, a much similar setup to Eta, kind of this larger gyre setup is beginning to form here. And in that setup, we're getting the smaller vortex to form. Again, the ridge is now starting to expand eastward. It's starting to move generally towards the east. So it's still promoting a fairly significant westward component of motion here. However, unlike Eta, we're possibly going to be seeing this ridge move far enough towards the east where it actually creates a potential northeast flow, or a kind of a northwest flow rather, across the storm in the mid levels, and that is going to mean all the difference if this is stronger. Again, the low level flow is out of the west here, but the mid level flow is starting to change towards the west northwest, and that's very important because unlike Eta, this might allow the storm, or what would be the next I name storm in the Greek alphabet, to potentially be moving up towards the northwest instead of moving into Central America completely. And we can kind of see a setup here where the ridge of high pressure does indeed expand out here. So you would expect a kind of a west changing toward northwest flow. But then we get, much like Eta, we get this ridge that ends up developing out here across portions of Texas and Mexico. And again, this is now creating a southerly steering component, a southwesterly steering component. So we've got in the mid levels here, kind of as this ridge is beginning to weaken, we have generally west northwest flow. And once again, in the upper levels, kind of the mid and upper levels here, we have generally a west southwest steering component. And in the GFS forecast, much like Eta, this is basically reminiscent to Eta. This ridge of high pressure really starts to weaken and drift towards the east as we get a trough to dig in across the northeast and a big ridge to develop across Texas and Mexico. And this is mainly competing and mainly creating a southwesterly steering component that dives the storm generally towards the west southwest, exactly like Eta. This is pretty much reminiscent to that. And the storm basically once again stalls out over this area. So shades of Eta here basically. And then you see what ends up happening is we have kind of this larger gyre setup here. And this is way out here, way beyond 5 days, but this is a gyre setup once again, and maybe shades of another vortex trying to develop. So the Caribbean is certainly not over with development, but this is fairly significant. Now going out to the 5-day realm, again, a larger gyre that is setting up here, and within that you've got your smaller low-level vortex. Again, very important to understand that the dynamics of this are going to change over the next 5 days, but so far we are definitely seeing shades of Eta all over again for portions of Central America. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be as strong, but to kind of give that as an indicator, if we actually look here at the 200 millibar flow in the atmosphere, we can really see what this storm has to offer. And if we move out here to 78 hours from now, again, generally The same idea with a surface vortex that ends up forming towards the south and east of Jamaica, which is located right in here. That's Jamaica. And again, generally an anticyclonic flow across most of the Caribbean at this point. Now, if we continue to move this forward, you can see the storm does undergo a period of rapid intensification once again, and indeed, the storm is now about 984 millibars here, right after about the 5 day realm. Fairly good cyclonic outflow or anticyclonic outflow with the storm, and this would help to kind of reinforce that again. Pretty much the same story of Eta all over again, in terms of a storm being in a near perfect environment for intensification. So once again, we're going to have another problem here in the Caribbean. And for context, even the Euro ECMWF 12Z continues to generate a surface vortex and actually takes the storm generally northeast of where it made of where Eta made landfall, and then kind of dives it in towards southwest here. And this is after a couple of days, but you still get notice this larger gyre-like setup across most of this area. And with a front that's coming down, this could add for surface convergence in this area. And once again, we might have yet another situation like Eta. So, yeah, this is very important. And again, over the next couple of days, this is an ever evolving situation. And we're going to have to monitor this going forward down the road. All right. Now, one real quick thing. Again, our pressure sensors here. We got our weather station data up and running. We're about 1,006 millibars so far, and that will continue to drop throughout the day. Our live, our weather cameras here, our hurricane cameras will be going up later this evening, and we'll be running through the day tomorrow. So, very important stuff here occurring. Obviously, the main threat right now is Tropical Storm Eta, which is going to be approaching landfall later this evening and will bring some substantial impacts in terms of dangerous surf right along the coast, storm surge, isolated tornadoes, very strong winds, and the flash flooding risk across the Florida Peninsula. All right. That being said, hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Mike O'Malley. I'll continue to have more updates tonight and into tomorrow morning.